Davis. I am the Desire to Learn Administrator here at OU. I'm a one-stop shop for high-level support, training, fixing things. I do have a crew that kind of works with me. Hearing about, I was going to show off one of my people I'm trying to steal from another part of our department, but I can't get it in here, so here in the hallway. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk about some things that are probably basic maybe for some of you. Then we're going to open it up for some questions. But first off, I want to show of hands of who is actively using D2L right now. Oh, God. That means you may already know everything I was going to teach you today. That's a good thing. I'm glad. I did a training session a few months ago, and nobody did anything. And I was like, okay, we'll start from scratch. So it's a good thing you guys know stuff. So that means you probably have questions, right? Lots of head nods, nothing's moving. Come on, people. It's 2:45. We're still awake. Okay, so quick thing, we're doing a couple things about a couple changes that we've had right now. Anybody do course combines? Multiple sections, teaching the same section, you want to have one course? Does anybody not know what that is? No? You don't? Okay. Course combines are, if you're teaching, say, English 11-13, and you're teaching 3 sections. You don't want to repeat the same content 3 times. You don't have to have 3 classes to administer. You don't have to upload things 3 times every time you do something. You can combine those into one D2L class, so you can have one set of postings, one gradebook, one set of quizzes, one-stop shop. And to do that, to request a combined course, we have a new course combined form. It's something we created prior to winter break to try to organize things a little bit better. But the link for that form is on the left-hand side right now after you first log in. So it's down here, a little information sheet about what it is. And all you have to do is go to it and fill out a little bit of information pertaining to each course you want to combine. And then it gets done. Yeah?
So as far as the roster then, are the students going to be separated on the roster?
Yep. Let me log out and I'll show you. Basically what happens in a combined course is you have, like say your roster in a gradebook. You can initially see everybody listed together, or you can do a view by sections, and you can do each individual section by itself. That also works in if you're doing anything where you've got one class, all the classes are pretty much the same content, but you've got something specific for, each of them. You can use custom restrictions and only have that section view that specific module in your content.
And then the students themselves will only see their fellow students.
Right. They only see the students in the class that they're enrolled in. They do not see each other. The only way they do see other people is if they're in groups. If you create groups and it's grouping from all the sections, then they'll see their group members, but they will not see the other rosters for the other sections. That is built by design to deal with some laws, basically. Let me log in with my other, and I'll show you what a combine is. It's amazing to me. We've been doing course combines. I've been doing learning management here at OU since 2002. We've been doing course combines with all the systems that we had. But I even have some older, you've been here a long time, not older. You've been teaching a long time, and they don't know about course combines. I actually helped one over winter break who was working on 5 different sections of a course, the same course, uploading things 5 times. I'm like, no, we must stop this. So combined courses, it saves some sanity, and it saves you time, which is, I was told recently, was the most powerful thing to advertise. It saves you time. You can do it this way. I will show you a course from fall that I worked on. This is a psychology course. It's 3 sections that they teach. And they have certain things in the class that only certain sections can see. And that allows them to have one class. And you can see here, the Introduce Yourself, section 985, 986, 997. Well, this little icon is a release condition. And it means that they have created this item and they put a restriction on it that based on the enrollment in the section, only that group can see it. And it's not that hard to do. It sounds like a lot of words, but it's really a couple of clicks. I won't show you right now because I have a limited amount of time and I don't want to go into just one thing. But if you want to see it after here, get with me and I'll show you. And it's on our help area and I'll show you that too. But Course Combined is a great tool. So if you want to save some time, only have one D2L course to administer for your multiple sections or your cross-listed sections, a combine is the way to go. Okay. Anybody who's not familiar with Twitter? Raise your hand. Anybody who doesn't want to admit it, that's okay. Well, Twitter is a social networking site that's 140 characters, and that's your little posting. I use Twitter for D2L. It's on the homepage to give you guys announcements, what's things that are happening, especially outages, problems that are going on, as well as news. I've been posting a couple of things today about the conference or our expo today. Even if you don't use Twitter, you don't ever want to have a Twitter account, checking out the tweets that I post when you first log in and just kind of scroll down, this will let you know if there's anything happening that day. If there's something going on, there's a problem on a specific day, and you need to know right away, go and look. And if you don't see anything, then there wasn't a problem. I am on Twitter like crazy. I tweet from my phone. Somebody calls me on vacation. Something's broken. Okay, hold on. Let me get a tweet in. Because this is how I have gotten a lot of people to be aware of the fact that I communicate just as effectively as you do probably with your students. This is your home base for all your courses usually, most instructors. This is a home base for students. If something's wrong here, you guys need to know about it. And that's my way of telling you something's wrong, is looking at the Twitter. The Twitter feed also feeds into Facebook. Actually, technically it's from Facebook into Twitter, but so there's a Facebook page, and everything that's on Facebook is also on Twitter, so because they feed each other. And you can go here, and if you have a Facebook account and you want to provide some feedback to me, this is a great place to do it. I see it, I look at it, I discuss. I've had a lot of conversations that have started in Facebook and come into me having coffee with somebody and teaching them about something or hearing their venting, which is, I'm okay to do that too. So those are the two, though they're the same information, those are two sites that I use to communicate to you guys. We'll also be creating a blog this semester that will have some of the same stuff as well as academic technology tips on how to take things from other sites like Google or Ning and use them in your classroom. And under the guise of trying to help you save some time. When trying to figure out what we were going to, well, I say we, my partner's not here, what we were going to talk about today, we kind of looked at all the calls we've had lately in the call center. All the things that people were calling about, and these were people that we've been talking to for years. So we started a list, and one of the things that seems to be a huge problem right now is the great way to copy your course content from one semester to the other. The reason I say it's a problem is because people forget to actually copy their files over, and they only copy the content. So Kevin from the call center suggested I explain that part to you really quick. It's really simple to log into your course and go to copy your content. I have to impersonate myself real quick. Hold on. Actually, I'm going to impersonate Simon, who's not, I don't think he's in here, so I'm impersonating him. When you have a course you're teaching over and over and over, you generally use the same core content each semester. And I actually had an instructor come to me yesterday who has been using D2L since we got it in 05 and had never known about this tool, which I feel like I've not done my job because I haven't effectively communicated this tool to anybody, but I thought I had. But basically, copying content is very simple. When you go into your course, you go to edit course. You're in the same. This is your spring course right now. You need to get your stuff in from fall. You go into your spring course. You go to edit course, and you come down here to this import, export, copy components tool. It's basically a wizard. Click some buttons. You hit save, and it goes. And it will default on the copy components from another org unit. That's a D2L name for your other course. These instructions are online. I'll post you guys to them, so when you don't have to write these down. I'll email them to you. And of course, did I impersonate Simon? He hasn't enforced this. Yes. Okay. Give me just a sec. Technical difficulty of impersonating the wrong person. Here we go. This version of me should have courses. When you're the admin, you have about 15 different accounts to test on things, so I tend to forget what I'm doing. Okay, so we find your fall course. We'll just pretend. Now, when you get to copy your stuff, you can either choose to copy everything, or you can copy just a couple things. If you're copying everything, the best thing you can do is click the Select All Components button. And what that does is that checks every single checkbox on this listing. And what this listing is just showing you everything that has been changed and touched and added to your course. So it's not going to list discussions if you didn't have any discussions. Now, some people choose not to select all, and they only want their content. They just want to move their content over. Well, they click this button. If I can get it to click. And they think, okay, I'm done. However, that is not true. When you create content in a class, you know when you go to content, you see everything listed. That's where your students click on stuff. Well, there's files attached to that content, and they're back here somewhere. And in order to get these content files to click and work and open, you have to also choose course files down here. Because they're attached. Now, the reasoning behind separating the two things is I understand it and also it makes me crazy. D2L is under the impression that you may want to bring over your content structure. You may want all the same file names, you may want all the same layouts and modules, but you may be changing up all your back-end stuff and you want to add new stuff to it. So let's give them the option to only copy the front end and only copy the back end. So that's why they're separated. But that's the two things that you want to do, course files and content. So if I've taught anybody anything today, that's a good thing.
And what are the display settings?
I'm going to be totally honest and go, I don't remember. It's something that I haven't even looked at. I
Isn't
don't
that
know.
like the width of the columns and all that kind of stuff? So if you customize the look.
So it's layout.
So,
Okay.
So presumably, let's say I want the structure, the content, and maybe 2/3 of the course files are the same, but there's a few that I've updated or whatever. I can go to that select individual items and just go through and pick
You
that.
sure can.
Okay.
You can do that, and then on the next page, what it will do is it will list everything for you.
Oh, okay.
And you can pick and choose what you want by just clicking on it.
And then I'd have to go into that structure and associate a new file
Yep.
to. Okay.
Because what will happen is that content listing will be there, and you can click and go pick a file, or you can go into Manage Files and pick a file and associate it to a content topic. Either way. But yeah, it's very quick and easy, and I'll just copy that just to show you. So once you've made all your selections, you just keep clicking Next until it tells you it's done. Now, wow, something must have broken. I was just about to say this. Now, the only time that you usually will see something fail is if you have something really huge. There is a limit to this file size that D2L will copy, and I think it's like, oh gosh, I don't know. We had a 2 gig course that now my partner in crime, Mark, has to copy on the file server because it won't use this utility. So if you have a lot of audio or you snuck in a lot of video content, which would be surprising to me, or you have huge PDFs and you ever see this failure happen, just call me and we'll figure it out. I'm going to have to figure out what's copied from that course anyway now that it's bothering me. But 99.9% of the time, you'll have no problem. It'll be no big deal. You'll be able to walk through the process and copy everything. But if you're one of those people that has a ton of heavy files, heavy audio, heavy video, things like that, you might run into an issue. But it's pretty rare. Yes?
Is there an easy way to copy and edit rubrics that have been published?
It should be, I want to say you still do the same thing. I don't have any rubrics in either of my classes, but you should be able to do the same process. But I will look at it, and if you can put your email address on that, I'll get back to you. Thanks. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see here. Now, who uses quizzing in D2L? Anybody? Nobody uses quizzing?
I might want to.
You might want to? Okay. Well, one of the things I was going to show you guys how to do, and it seems to be nobody knows this because it's hidden, is if you have a student who's taking a quiz, they get locked. Something happens. They get booted out of their quiz because their internet connection's died or something happened with their browser or whatever. And you've only allowed them to have one attempt. And now they've missed their timing window. And they can't finish the quiz. But you're going to go ahead and let them finish it. Well, what you have to do is reset their attempt. Basically, clear out the old and let them start over. And it's a very easy process, but it's not posted anywhere how to do this. And we get calls about it weekly. So what I was going to show you is how to do that. So let me go into, hopefully we have a quiz here. Okay. So I've got a quiz, and now I've got a student who tells me the same sob story that, oh, something happened and I can't take my quiz now. So you decided you're going to have pity and you're going to let them take the quiz over again. What you do is you go in your quiz, you click on Grade Quiz, And under users, the default that shows up is restrict to users that have attempts that have been completed. So that means any student that you see listed below, like here, has an attempt that's been done. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is there's other options here too. If you click the drop down, you can restrict it to attempts that are in progress. That means the student is actively doing something in the quiz or has started the quiz, but they haven't submitted it. And this is the one where kids get booted out or something's happened and they just haven't finished it. And you can go look at their attempts. So you just do restrict to and then click search again. And hopefully we have nobody. Hold on. We'll go pretend real quick. We'll pretend that I just did that, and then we'll just, well, maybe we've got one over here. This is what happens when you clear out all your testing before you have a presentation.
How hard is it to set up a quiz in D2L?
How hard is it to set up a quiz?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think it's fairly easy, but depends on your level of comfort with using online technology. The quizzes can be as easy or as hard. I mean, you have your basic options, and it's just kind of fill in the spots that it's asking you for information. So I can kind of show that in here in just a minute.
What kind of questions can you ask on a quiz? Can you ask like questions?
Multiple choice, long. Here, hold on. Let's just do this.
You can create open-ended questions, so you can use it for informal writing assignments rather than quizzes per se.
Yep.
You can have one question.
There you go. Here's your list. True, false, multiple choice, multiple select, long answer, short answer, multiple short answer questions, fill in the blank, matching, ordering, arithmetic, significant figure. You can also insert text. So if you've got, they need to read a paragraph and answer questions about it, or if there's an image you need to show them, if it's a landscape and they need to identify certain things in a landscape or something, you can do that. To create a quiz, we're kind of weird, but I'll show you just quickly. To just create a quiz questions, fairly simple. When you come in here, you choose which type you want. So say true, false. You hit go. You can give it a title, which isn't obvious. It's a visual thing for you if you want to title it. Decide how many points that question's worth. Oops, sorry, I kind of scrolled up here. You type in your question text right here in the box. And this box looks like every other thing you see in D2L. The WYSIWYG, the HTML editor. It's the same thing all over the place. The sky is made up. Forgive my lack of really good question. And then you can add a file if you need to add a file to this question. You can scroll down, and then here's where you decide, well, is it true or false? If it's true, then it would be, you put 100%, because it's weighted in percentage. So if you have a question that's, you've got 4 different answers, and each of them are correct, you want to give each 25%, or you've got this one's worth 50%, these are, worth whatever, you can decide. Go.
Best option, second best option.
Mm-hmm. And so you just put 100 in there, and then you hit save. Now, obviously, you probably saw there's lots of other boxes and things you can do, but that's the basics of getting a question going.
Can you only ask one type of question with quiz? So
No.
You pick
No, you can do all those. You can do that in all one.
Oh, so you get this. You get to select for each question.
Each question, and the question and the.
I see questions.
Yes. The quiz can be graded automatically by D2L with the exception of the long answer, short answer. Those have to be hand graded, obviously, because there's a limit to what the system can do. But the nice thing is those can be auto graded. This can also be auto exported to the grade book. So you can do everything's pushed to your D2L grade book. I saw a hand.
Yeah, so I have often response answers. I have a question and they do a response, and I've usually opened up a Dropbox and they just drop in a Word file or whatever. But that would be better, right? To have it in quiz, just in terms of you don't have to keep opening up separate files, and can it handle the equivalent of a couple page answer, or
that I don't know, but I can find out for you.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan, who's got my that? Write that down and then put your email address. And I'll
How long is a long answer?
Yes, you can do random.
And so have it's a time thing, so once they started, they have to be done in 15 minutes?
You can time it. You can set up all of those. Now, the random thing, when you do a random, when you come in here, you're going to create a random section. That's what you'll do, and then you'll start building your stuff inside that random section. Right there. And then you were asking about the timing. That's under restrictions when you create a quiz. You can decide, that by default it's 120 minutes, but you can change this time limit to be whatever it is you want. And you can also have the ability in quizzing, if you have students with disabilities who need extra time, or you need to change it for dates. Maybe you've got a student who is in the military and they have a guard duty that weekend and they can't take a quiz. You can assign special access, where's my button? Down here on the bottom. And you can assign different dates, different times to specific students.
And how hard is it to upload like picture files?
Into the quiz?
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's very easy.
How many questions can you have on a quiz, or is it unlimited?
I don't know. I don't know of a limit. I've never hit a limit. So we can find out though.
I've done
Write
a few
that down,
hundred.
Stephanie, and I'll get back to you.
I've done a couple hundred in one quiz.
Okay. Eric says a couple hundred. Okay. Wow. Hardcore over at LIS. Let's see. Okay, any more questions about this? It's a good tangent on its own. Yes.
How do you control who can take the quiz?
Oh,
So, for example, I only want students who showed up for class that day to take the quiz. Can I do that?
You'd have, I mean, well, okay, so you're going to take attendance that day, and then at some point you're going to,
Well, the quiz would also serve as your attendance.
well, the only way that you would be able to do that is if you're doing it right then. I mean, you'd have to come in, as they come in, and before you let that quiz go, then you have to add special access to let those students do it. But special access is, once you start creating a quiz, it's under restrictions, and it's towards the bottom under add users to special access. And I don't know why that. Okay, there it goes. And so it'll take you to another page, and it almost looks exactly like what you just saw. You can change your dates, change your timing, and your grace period. And then down below is all the students that are in the class, and all you do is simply click on their names and decide who gets to have access. And once you're done, it takes you back to the quiz, and wow, that didn't update, so I don't know what happened there. I think you did something wrong. But it will show you underneath here who all has access.
You didn't give them any settings at the
Oh, that's what I didn't do. See, this is what
Plus, we have
happens.
done a million.
I was like, what did I not do? Yeah, I didn't
I
change
just
anything.
scheduled 8 people and they're all gone.
This is what happens too, and I haven't probably touched this tool in a couple months. But yeah, so that's how you do that.
But
Any other
if you're doing a pop quiz, though, you can not, if you're not telling the students, you can do a time.
Yep.
So if class starts at 9, they have from 9 to 9:10 to do it. Select
Yep.
all students, it's already set up, and then it's ready to roll. So when the students come in, you're like, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to take a quiz at 9:05. Load your computers up, they don't do too well.
Yep.
The students that aren't there won't know.
That's a good idea. I like that. And then they're gonna be like, they're gonna log in and go, hey, there was a quiz. What happened there?
Right.
So yeah, that's a great idea. I like that. Okay. Any other quiz questions? That's a lot of talk. And I'm running out of time fast. What did I want to show you guys? Oh, saw a hand. Yes.
I have a question about,
Yes.
we have a lot of journal entries in our class, and I'm a big edit person, and there doesn't seem to be an easy way to edit. There's no track changes or anything on D2L.
No. There's not.
And I would love for there to be, because I hate poorly written papers, and I just edit all over the place.
Okay, the only thing that is available is an integration with Turnitin.com. And that's done through the Dropbox. And what the integration with Turnitin.com is, one part is plagiarism detection. Checks the papers for plagiarism. The other part is something called markup, or grade mark. Grade mark, thank you. And what that will do, and I've actually got papers I can look at, what that will do is it will allow you, it will take you to the Turnitin site. It will show you their paper, and it will allow you to mark it up like that. You don't have to download anything. You don't have to, make sure you've got their version of everything on there. My FERPA PDF is 100% awesome. So let me show you that real quick. And this is a new integration that we've just gotten going. Got some going. Wow, that was
So you set it up. You set it up to be submitted to Turnitin.
Yeah, you do it through the Dropbox.
Well, simply by having them submit to Dropbox, it will automatically feed to Turnitin.
Yep.
And then within Turnitin, you've got this grade mark platform,
Yep.
and you can customize rubric, you can use standard comments, there's lots of stuff to do.
Yeah, so this is a paper that it was in D2L, it was processed by Turnitin for the plagiarism detection. I clicked on it and it took me over to Turnitin. So here's my student's paper, my FERPA. And what I can do over here is they've got some common stuff over here that you can pick and do.
That sucks.
It does. It's not all that wonderful. But the thing that I like about it is I can go, okay, I really don't understand this entire thing right here. And I can do blah, blah, I can do a comment here. And so when the student comes back to look at it, they see all of this. They see your highlights, they see your comments. They also, let's see, where did that thing go? Yeah, basically they will be able to see,
Where do they see that? In the Dropbox?
Yes. Under leave feedback.
Under feedback.
Okay. Leave feedback. They click the view feedback, and then there's a little icon that shows up. Here, let me show it to you.
There's this.
You know what I always do? I just download it, go into Word, give them turn on track changes, and then upload it again.
Right, and what she's saying is, it's for that to me is time consuming. One, you've got to download it, so now you've got it on your computer. Then you've got to track changes, make sure nothing goes wrong with that. Then you've got to save it. Then you've got to re-upload it.
Exactly.
A lot of steps. This save,
You can do something more like an insert comment.
Yeah,
than
this
a
is
track
like
change.
you've not had to download anything. It's all right there. And as you're working, there's no save button. It constantly is saving. So if I make that comment and then I shut my browser down, it's saved. No big deal. But yeah, basically, it'd take me forever to figure out which student. But they go into the Dropbox, they see it says leave feedback or view feedback. They click on it. There's a little icon that says markup. They click on it and it takes them there. And so
Can you show
they're
the global feedback bit as well? I mean, the image on comments right now is showing the comments 1, 2, 3, 4. But the global feedback one, the page 2 is the paragraphs of this was a generally well-written paper kind of thing, right?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Something like that.
I know there's a way that you can produce an endnote.
Yes.
There we are. General
Yeah,
comments
general
is the endnote
Yeah.
kind of feature.
And
So
then
you
you
have
can
both
write your
interlinear
entire
comments
version.
and then global
Blah,
comments.
blah, 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 you know, whatever. And then you save it, and the student comes back. And then, oh, you guys can't really see. On that screen, you can see on the very bottom right, you can kind of see my little hand wiggling. The student, they have pretty much the same view, so they'll see the same things. So they can see the general comments, and then if they click on the listing, they can see everything that you have written or chosen, and they can click show on paper, and it will highlight exactly like I just clicked on the missing quote. So it highlighted here to take them exactly where it is that you're talking about.
So how does it get from here back to D2L as feedback?
Basically, it takes, I've been timing it. D2L said it took 30 minutes for the feedback and the icon to appear in D2L. I saw it quicker than that, and then I saw it longer than that. But basically what happens is, let me see who it was that we were looking at. Sooner? Oh great, I have 5 of those. Sooner Tester. See if I can figure out which one he is. Sooner Tester 2.
So you just closed out of it and it
Yep.
saved it.
It saves it automatically, and then all we have to do is kind of wait a little while for the system, turn it in to do what it needs to do, to talk back to D2L, to leave a mark for this particular student. Let's see which one. I'm going to guess it's this one since I tested it, but that's even a long time ago. Let me see if this is the guy. There's no submission. I'm trying to let you see it as the student. I just don't know which student it is. Right, how many did I say I had? 5.
How would you like to book a lab and have a quiz built in
I can do that.
fun thing next week?
Next week?
Right.
You want to see my
2.5
calendar for next
weeks.
week?
Yeah.
No, we can do that. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today too is that nowhere you will see any online or any D2L classes unless you are in arts and sciences and you work with Beth McCoy. I don't teach any classes. I don't offer them anymore. I offer them, I book all my time and no one would show up. And being the only administrator, can't really do that. But if you ever want to have a class, whether it's you and you're just 2 colleagues, or you just want one-on-one time with me, or you want to book for your entire department, just contact me. I'm totally game to do that. But I just don't put myself out there and schedule stuff because so many people weren't showing up, and I can't do that anymore. But yeah, like Dan was just saying, we want to do a quiz. Oh, here we go. A quiz building session. We can totally schedule that up. Okay, so this student, he's got feedback. So it says view feedback. He comes in here. Oh, not enough time yet. Okay. What will happen is once that, like I said, it was 30 to 45 minutes from turn it in to D2L. Once that happens and that markup is finally processed, in this comments there'll be a little box. It'll be like a little, I don't know what does it look like.
Radio button.
Yeah, it's kind of, what is it?
I thought it was a little paper with the chat.
Oh, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it looks like this. This little, sorry, wrong one, I hovered. It'll look like this. There'll be a new column that says markup, and they'll just click on that and go over to it. But because I guess I just made some changes, it's now having to process again. It's not an exact science, like I said. D2L told me one time limit, turn it in, told me another time limit, so. But eventually we'll get there.
So is Dropbox, it seems like you could choose to have it turn it in or choose not to have it go to turn it in.
Yes.
So if you just choose to have it turn it in on everything, then you have that feature
Yes.
that you can do the markup.
Right. Yes, when you create a Dropbox folder, you have to decide whether or not you want to enable the plagiarism detection. By default, it does it. Now, if you turn that on, you cannot turn it off.